Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am Paul Elam with a voice for men and an ear for men.com. And as always, I am joined by Mr. Tom Golden of menaregood.com. And he is absolutely right about that. And this is You Can't Make This Shit Up. And boy, we got four of them for you today, man. We haven't done this near as often. We've been so busy doing red pill relationships and some other things that we haven't done a lot of these. So apologies to the crowd, but we're back. We're going to keep doing these. We love them, except for possibly this one, because I got to start with one, actually, Tom, that I hate. A lot of times, and we've got some stories today that are a good bit more on the humorous side, but we're not going to be starting with one, and we're going to get this out of the way. And actually, this is a story so disgusting, so awful, that I'm just going to read the news story because I just don't want to recap it on my own. I'm just going to tell it just like the news reported it. And so anyway, here we go. And you'll be seeing the headline with this, but a mom accused of abusing her kids, forcing them to watch as she boiled puppies alive. Cops. A New Mexico woman is accused of running a house of horrors where she tortured and beat some of her 15 children and forced them to watch as she boiled their puppies alive, authorities said Tuesday. One of Martha Crouch's, and I'm sure she is no relation to Harry Crouch, one of Martha Crouch's 7 daughters told investigators that after one of the family's dogs gave birth, the mother took the puppies and put them into a giant pot and boiled them, making all the kids watch, according to court documents. The 17-year-old girl said the horrific incident happened the same day that her dog Pip was shot and killed by her mom. So she killed the mother dog too. San Juan County Sheriff's Office investigators heard the stomach-churning allegations of others and abuse and neglect when they opened a probe following the arrest of one of Crouch's adult children on charges of assault with a deadly weapon. No surprise there that this family would produce violent people. Since then, the New Mexico Children, Youth and Family Department has received hundreds of pages of reports with complaints about Crouch and her husband from social service agencies in multiple states, including Alaska, Kansas, Missouri, and Montana. It's an ongoing investigation that is going to take us some time, San Juan County Sheriff's Office spokesperson Jamie Harcrow told the Farmington Daily News. Investigators found allegations that some of the kids were kept out of school, weren't fed enough, and that the family would move if police and social workers began to sniff around. The teenage daughter said that last month her mom beat her with a plastic cooking spatula after she said she was fed up and that she and her siblings weren't receiving an education and threatened to call social services. She said the abuse got so bad that 2 of her older siblings took her from New Mexico to Arizona to keep her safe. Another daughter, whose age wasn't disclosed, said she got pregnant at 14 and her mom beat her until she had a miscarriage. Yet another daughter said she was kept in a, quote, fat chain for 3 years when the family lived in Alaska because her mom thought she was overweight. One of the 8 sons said he was beaten, shot, stabbed, and run over by his parents. He said he also still had BBs inside his arm, that's birdshot, from when his mom shot him with a shotgun. Crouch, 53, was arrested Monday and charged with child abuse and extreme cruelty to animals. Her husband, Timothy Crouch, 57, is charged with obstructing an investigation by the New Mexico Children, Youth, and Families Department. They are due in court Wednesday and haven't yet been assigned public defenders. And I'm glad I just got to read that, Tom. I don't even know how long I want to discuss this story, but I do want to point out a couple of things. One, the myth of women not being violent, that dialectic has to go. It just has to go. And you see the clear pattern, even within that news story. A horrifically violent parent, abusive toward the children. And what do the children do? They grow up and become abusive toward others. It's just as predictable as you can get.
Yes.
And Tom, can you imagine the trauma in a child of witnessing this thing with the dogs?
Oh man, that's just horrible.
It is horrible.
Make that shit up, but for different reasons. I mean, it's just too horrible to make up.
And what was the father charged with? Obstructing the investigation. He was hiding her. He was covering for her. He was trying to prevent authorities, even as he knew his children were being abused and that the animals were being abused and that life and limb was being put at risk. He tried to prevent. Thank you, White Knight. I hope you both rot in hell and in jail for a long, long, long time. You can't make this up as right. If I wanted to write a Stephen King-esque novel, I couldn't think of anything more horrible than this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. Do we want to comment on this anymore?
I'm ready to leave it. And in fact, anybody still there?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
I wouldn't blame you if you bailed out, man. Yeah. That's hard to hear that story.
Yeah, it's safe to come back now. The rest of our stories are a little better, but man.
Ollie and free.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yes, and if you don't ever support vigilante justice, that story's enough to make you rethink that a little.
Yes.
Anyway, let's move on. What's your first story? And
on a happier note,
better times.
Maybe not quite as as difficult, but certainly a head scratcher. Here's the headline: Eating meat promotes toxic masculinity, academic journal says. Okay. Now you got to understand, this was not from the AMA journal or the whatever journal. This was from the Gender, Place, and Culture journal, a journal of feminist geography. Now what the hell's feminist geography? And what does that have to do with eating meat? Anyway, all these questions will not be answered in this video.
Well, yes, I could answer the feminist geography thing.
Okay, good. What's that?
It's fake geography. There's no such thing as feminist geography. There is no such thing as MRA geography. There's no such thing as Republican geography. There's no such thing as Democrat, Libertarian, Maoist, Leninist, Marxist, any kind of political geography. There is geography and there is everything that's not geography. And the two don't mix. But anyway, oh my God. Well, and for some reason, I get the feeling that a bunch of vegan bitches got together.
Oh, it's just one.
Just one? Okay, well.
The author of the article, and she's kind of cute in a way, but the author of the article did this, quote, study, which I think she interviewed a bunch of people. That's the study. But she came to this conclusion that, you know, Paul, if you eat meat, you're only giving patriarchy more juice. If you don't eat meat, you're telling patriarchy to go to hell. And not only that, but you're disavowing the gender narrative. Let me read you a couple quotes. In patriarchal societies where hegemonic masculinity implies an imperative to eat meat, vegetarianism disrupts food culture, raising questions about how vegetarians do, redo, and rework gender.
Was that supposed to even make sense?
Well, yeah, Paul, you didn't get it?
Now it must be all those cowboy ribeyes I've been eating. I don't understand the word.
It goes against the cultural grain if you don't eat meat, that this whole cultural grain is what fuels patriarchy. So if we can go against that grain, then of course we're doing good work in stopping this gender narrative.
Well, wait a minute. I've got a point to make here, though.
Go ahead.
When I grill, and I'm like, my favorite cut is a ribeye. I love an occasional filet, but fillets are small and really expensive. You get a lot more with a ribeye, and they're very, very good, manly piece of meat. Yeah. Now, when I slice the ribeye, I cut it against the grain.
Yeah.
Doesn't that qualify me as doing my part to dismantle patriarchy?
I should hope so, Paul.
I never cut it with the grain.
Well, of course not.
Okay, it's a dumb joke. I get it.
Hey, it's better than the last one, so what the hell?
Yeah, no kidding.
Listen to what they say. Women, one of the ways they push back against patriarchy, they say, this is my body. You don't get to tell me what comes in and out. So it's this defiance about anything that's the standard culture, I think.
So the refusal to eat meat is women's empowerment.
Oh yeah, doing vegetarianism in interactions drives social change. That's a literal quote from this article. Doing vegetarianism in interactions drives social change, contributing to the delinking of meat from gender hegemony and revealing the resisting and reworking of gender in food spaces. You cannot make this shit up, man. You cannot make it up. I mean, I've been a vegetarian. I was a vegetarian for years for a while. And I can tell you right now, you know, what I was doing for the world and my own way of being was very similar to when I eat meat and when I don't. It's just...
I did a vegetarian phase too, and I found that I ate a really unhealthy amount of carbohydrates.
Exactly.
While I was doing that. And of course, as we know now, if you want to gain weight and get diabetes and everything else, you load up on carbs.
Yes.
So I'm sure the producers of insulin and metformin and other diarrhea medications are very, very happy with this woman.
They're applauding vegetarianism.
Yes, they want to do that too. But
Yeah.
I mean, this is plain stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid. And in fact,
it's made up shit.
I've seen some research, it was a while back, and I can't quote it right now, but they were basically saying that men are more dependent on meat in order to maintain their health.
I know I am.
Yeah, I know I am too, because meat really, it does the job, man. That protein, boom, it gets it done. But so our lady Ann DeLesio Parson doesn't think so. She thinks that vegetarianism is the way to go, and it's going to dismantle patriarchy. We all know that patriarchy is WAR, Women's Accountability Removal.
Yes, it is.
War. Except we're not aware that there's a war being waged on us. We better figure it out quick, because this whole patriarchy thing is nuts. You know,
it's 2 and 2 equals 5 for them. I mean, there's just the idea that not eating meat. And if I try to, you know, quit laughing for a minute and seriously take a look at what they're saying and give it a better hearing in my head, it makes no fucking sense. It's just gibberish.
No.
It's just, and I can just imagine a bevy of women sitting around in a room saying, yeah, if we stop eating meat, it'll dismantle the patriarchy. And they're all like, yeah, that'll really happen.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's true. Crazy stuff, eh?
Crazy. Speaking of crazy, you ready to move on?
Move on, baby.
Let's move on. If you look below in the description area, you will see a link to a live leak video. This one I don't think made it to YouTube, but it is very interesting. Now, the story behind this minute and 53-second video, I believe it is that this woman was cheating on her boyfriend / husband, her significant other. He had her phone, apparently had her text messages, was looking at how she was, you know, laying plans out with other men or another man, and he caught her. And so she immediately calmly walked over to a kitchen cabinet, pulled out a butcher knife, and sliced herself on the top side of her wrist a couple of times, back of her hand. And I mean some pretty deep cuts. She was bleeding profusely, and then tried to attack him. And what she was obviously trying to do was to put some defensive wounds, or what looked like defensive wounds, on her hands, and then attack him with the knife so she could justify killing him.
And get some of her blood on him.
Absolutely. And she has the wounds to prove that he attacked, and she didn't have a choice. She had to kill him. And of course, the problem for her was that he wasn't really hip to cooperating with that plan, and he decided to punch her lights out instead. which I think was a good move. And as a sidetrack to this, there's a poll that came with this video of what would you do if you were in this guy's shoes. And they asked one option. First option was I'd start crying. Second option was I'd run away. And the third option was I'd punch her lights out.
Yeah.
And the great majority of people said they would run away.
Really?
Yes, the great majority of people, of course, and here's my point about this. This was indoors in close quarters. Those of you who would run away would have a knife, a big old butcher knife sticking out of your back. If you're outside and you're an average guy, you can outrun a woman and you can get away. Right. But if you're indoors and she's 1.5 feet from you and you turn your back to open a door, you're a stuck pig.
That's crazy.
Anyway, so this woman is walking around their apartment, home, whatever, and she's sticking her hand out, which is badly cut, dripping profuse amounts of blood everywhere, trying to stage a crime scene, saying, "Why did you cut me? Why did you cut me?" Now, it's really interesting. Tom and I just did in our Red Pill Relationship series, we just did one called Women and Accountability Like Oil and Water, or Water and Oil, if you prefer. But the point was that we discuss women's often their lack of accountability. And this is a great example. She was caught in an affair. And rather than own her shit, she would rather see this guy go to prison for a crime he didn't commit.
Yeah, or you would kill him.
And I'm not saying that the average woman would react precisely as this woman did. But the point is that the impetus behind her behavior was the lack of accountability. Oh, you're going to catch me? I'm going to get you in prison because I'm not going to be wrong under any circumstances.
Yes.
For what it's worth, the guy did the right thing. He was in close quarters. She was coming at him with a knife. He would have been within his rights to shoot her. Absolutely. That's a deadly weapon. It's a deadly attack, and she was coming for him. You guys will watch it in the video yourselves. It's a little bit of a warning, though. If you don't like the sight of blood, don't watch the video because it's pretty graphic.
Yeah.
But that's another one that you can't make up, but you don't have to because it's real. We don't have to make
it a happier ending.
Yes, it is a happier ending. I hope, and of course, but we don't know. For all we know, this clown is still with this woman.
Please no.
Well,
please
you can't make that shit up either. But I've seen many times men are like, "Well, I know she tried to cut me and tried to get me put in jail for aggravated assault, but I love her.
She's my woman.
She's my woman, and she didn't mean it. Cupcake didn't mean to treat me that way."
Yeah, she didn't mean to do that.
And those guys that end up behind bars, you deserve it just for being stupid.
Oh boy.
No, I can't. I take that back. You don't really deserve it.
Yeah.
But God, you're stupid.
So we ready to move on?
Oh, I think we're ready to move on.
Oh, the last one's a little bit more of a chuckle, and at least
need one.
my two have been more of a chuckle than your two, but I won't brag. But this one, here's the title: United Nations deems Siri and Alexa tools of the patriarchy. Oh God, if you don't laugh when you hear that, there's something wrong with you. United Nations deems Siri and Alexa tools of the patriarchy. Oh my God. There was literally a United Nations paper. I think it was, it's not a short thing. It's not like a paragraph or two. It's an actual paper with a forward and a this and a that. And it goes into detail about why Siri and Alexa and all of these digital assistants are a part of the patriarchy.
Help me understand this, Tom. What is their thinking?
Well, Paul, I could say, Alexa, get me today's weather now. And Alexa would get me the weather. She would be obsequious. She'd be servile. She would do just what I asked her, even if I was nasty. That's one of the things they literally talk about that. Here, let me read you a couple quotes. The authors rolled with alarm that most leading voice assistants are exclusively female or female by default, both in name and in sound of voice. This includes Siri, Amazon's Alexa, and Microsoft Cortana. The report says that these voices send a signal that women are obliging, docile, eager to please helpers available at the touch of a button or with a blunt voice command like hey or okay.
Well, what did they expect them to do for the digital assistant to come back and say, get your own fucking weather?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, they're saying that they're setting up a what do you call it, a default where women are used to do things like secretaries, and you can tell them no matter what way you want, they're going to have to do it no matter what, and that sends a message to young girls. They literally say that. Oh God. It doesn't care about tone. The assistant holds no power of agency beyond what the commander asks of it. It honors commands and responds to queries regardless of their tone or hostility. This reinforces gender biases that women are subservient and tolerant of poor treatment.
Man, you talk about some first world fucking problems. Good Lord.
These people are crazy. They're crazy. And what they're saying is, this is a part of why there aren't more women in tech. I mean, you really can't make this shit up. And
this is why that there's, well, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure there was not a whole lot of women in tech before they invented these things.
I wonder if I think you're right, Paul. Yeah.
You know, I mean, again, how do you come up with a response to, I mean, because I would love to think of something really, pithy to say, but it's just stupid. It's just bone stupid, like Vince Post stupid.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And this is, well, and it is the United Nations, right? So
yeah, when I was a little boy, I used to look up the United Nations. I'd think, damn, that's really great that the whole world can come together and blah, 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 blah. Man, has my idea changed.
And of course, since they don't have problems in places like Somalia or Ethiopia, they need to focus on things like this.
Crazy. It's just crazy crap, man. You can't make it up. Siri's female obsequiousness and the servility expressed by so many other digital assistants projected as young women provides a powerful illustration of gender biases coded into technology projects, pervasive in the technology sector and apparent in digital skills education.
You know something, when I try to repair something on my car and it's not going well, I cuss that son of a bitch up and down, and the car never says anything back to me. Is that more patriarchy?
It must be, Paul. And you're a patriarch to treat that car like that.
Yes.
Jeez,
well,
Paul.
My car's male. I wouldn't drive a female car. I am a patriarch.
Okay. It's okay to abuse it.
I trust a female vehicle to take me places.
God.
It would be always getting distracted and talking and shit. So I fuck that. Good grief. I mean, my God. This is, we've done a lot of, or this is, which one of these, I don't know what number this is, if you can't make this shit up. We've done a bunch of them. This is, those two stories that you found are by far the dumbest things I've ever seen from feminists. They are now worried about talking to electronic devices in the wrong tone of voice and whether or not you have a steak sandwich.
Oh, God.
Maybe it's the sandwich thing that gets them. Maybe it's there's a lot of meat that goes on sandwiches, and the next thing you know, feminists will be talking about how sandwiches are an instrument of the patriarchy. And
well,
they might
worse than that.
Yeah.
You make me a sandwich?
What's that?
Make me a sandwich?
Yeah.
That's from way back, yeah.
That's from way back. I don't know what they're thinking. Yes.
Make me a meat sandwich.
I guarantee you, between false accusations, male genital mutilation, the sentencing disparity, the bias in family courts, you go down the list. I wish, as men, we could talk about problems this fucking trivial. I
Yeah.
really do. I wish we could just talk about some stupid, senseless bullshit like this and indulge in this kind of shallow victim identity.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, our problems are real. And, you
Yeah.
know, women have some real problems too, but they're not
Absolutely.
talking about those anymore. They're talking about Siri and Alexa and corned beef on rye. It,
Right.
it uh,
It's crazy, crazy. Can't make this shit up, man.
if I seem frustrated, it's probably leftovers from the first
Puppy.
story,
Yeah, I know. My
because
stomach's
that one
still
really
turning.
bothered me.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
But
On that
um,
note, on that happy note,
couple of notes. One reminder to everybody, links below. If you would like to sign up to our Regarding Men newsletter and become part of the almost 5,000 strong that we've raised on that newsletter now, and you get an average of one email per week. We won't flood your inbox, but we give you links. Occasionally, we give you sample episodes of Red Pill Relationships. So you can go in and check that out and decide whether or not you would like to join the Patreon or Subscribe Star for that work. Links to that are below also. Also reminding everybody, and link below once again, ICMI 19 in Chicago is coming up in just 2 months, or a month and
yeah, less.
less than 2 months, month and a
Yeah.
half. 6.5 weeks out from Chicago. And good Lord, this is going to be one, you know, Janice Fiamingo is going to be there. Tom Golden's going to be there. Sargon of Akkad, Karen Strawn, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you go down the list, Robert Franklin. If they're an MRA that you've heard of, they're probably going to be at this event, plus some other people, Count Dankula, others engaged in the free speech end of this thing. Which we need, because yours truly, by the way, want to put out there. I'll link below to a story. I was just removed from Facebook. Of course, no reason was given except that I violated community standards, and they linked me to a list of things I didn't do, honestly, did not do. But of course, they have removed me because they don't like what I have to say. Another good reason to sign up for the Regarding Men newsletter.
I was going to say
That's
that
one area they cannot silence us.
because we're all on the chopping block.
Yep.
And they
They're
want
coming.
to silence us. And, you know, if you want to keep in touch with us, this is the easiest way to do it.
And it allows us to keep in touch with you, to bring you content, because there's other, eventually YouTube will come for everybody. I mean, the war on free speech is getting into full-fledged drive here. The crusade of the American left is going after anybody they disagree with and silencing them. Fortunately, there's some other platforms being developed. We always have those as an opportune way to host our videos. So we're going to keep producing content for you.
Indeed.
And with that, gosh, and that's enough low bar references to last a lifetime.
I think so.
Anything else, Tom?
I think we're good, man. I think we're good. Can't make this shit up.
Well, there is one other thing.
What's that? Oh, men are good.
Yeah, they are.
Men are good, as are you.
Take care, guys. We'll see you next
ya.
time.
We'll see you.